Did you know that your expensive carry-on bag might get rejected at the gate, even if it technically meets the size requirements? I just discovered something that could save you from the nightmare of forced check-ins and unexpected fees. Stay with me because what I'm about to reveal will completely change how you choose your next carry-on. Last month, a friend of mine showed up to the airport with what she thought was the perfect carry-on bag. It checked all the boxes on paper. The dimensions were within limits, it had great reviews, and it looked incredibly stylish. But when she got to her gate, the airline staff took one look at her bag and immediately flagged it for forced checking. She ended up paying $60 in unexpected fees and nearly missed her connection. This isn't an isolated incident. Airlines are getting stricter about carry-on enforcement, and certain popular bag designs are becoming red flags for gate agents. The problem isn't always about the official measurements. Sometimes it's about how these bags actually perform in real airport situations. Let me start with one of the biggest culprits that's catching travelers off guard. Those trendy hard-shell spinner bags with the expandable zippers are becoming problematic. You know the ones I'm talking about. They look sleek, they have 4 wheels, and they promise maximum packing space. But here's what manufacturers don't tell you. When you expand these bags, they often exceed the carry-on dimensions, and many travelers don't realize they're using the expanded mode. Even worse, the hard shells on these bags don't compress when you're trying to fit them into tight overhead compartments. Gate agents are starting to recognize these specific designs, and they're more likely to measure them carefully. The rigid construction means if your bag is even slightly oversized, there's no give whatsoever. Another category that's causing major headaches is the duffel bag style carry-ons. These have exploded in popularity because they look casual and seem more flexible than traditional suitcases. But airlines are catching on to something important. Duffel bags are incredibly easy to overpack, and their soft construction means the dimensions can vary wildly depending on how much you stuff inside. I've seen travelers confidently walk up to the gate with these bags, thinking the soft sides will compress if needed. But by the time you reach the airport, that duffel is usually packed so tight it's practically rigid. Gate agents know this pattern, and they're more likely to check the weight and dimensions of duffel-style carry-ons. Here's where things get really tricky. Some of the most popular brands are actually the ones facing the most scrutiny. There are certain well-known luggage companies whose bags have become so common that gate agents immediately recognize them. When you show up with one of these recognizable designs, especially the larger models from these brands, you're more likely to get stopped for a size check. This isn't necessarily because the bags are oversized, but because airlines have seen so many of these specific models that barely meet requirements. Gate agents have developed a kind of pattern recognition, and certain brands and styles trigger automatic closer inspection. The psychological aspect of this is fascinating. Airlines are under constant pressure to manage overhead bin space, especially on smaller regional aircraft. Gate agents are being trained to identify potentially problematic bags before passengers even board. They're looking for visual cues that suggest a bag might cause delays or take up too much space. Bags with lots of external pockets and attachments are becoming targets. Those convenient laptop sleeves, water bottle holders, and side pockets that stick out can add crucial inches to your bag's footprint. Even if your main compartment meets size requirements, these additions can push you over the limit. Rolling bags with 2 wheels instead of 4 are also facing increased scrutiny. The old-school wheeled suitcases tend to be deeper front to back, and they often have a harder time fitting into the newer, more compact overhead bins on regional jets. Airlines are becoming more aggressive about checking these older-style bags. Here's what's really important to understand. The official carry-on size limits haven't changed, but enforcement has become much more strict and somewhat arbitrary. Different airlines, different airports, and even different gate agents on the same day can have varying levels of enforcement. The bags that are sailing through security are typically the smaller, more conservative designs. Think clean lines, minimal external features, and dimensions that are comfortably under the maximum limits rather than pushing right up to the edge. Soft-sided bags with some compression capability are performing better than rigid designs. Bags that can squeeze down slightly when needed give both you and the gate agents more flexibility. The key is finding something that looks purposefully compact rather than stuffed to capacity. If you're shopping for a new carry-on, avoid anything that markets itself as maximum capacity or pushes the size limits. Look for bags that are designed to be clearly under the requirements. Pay attention to reviews that specifically mention airport experiences rather than just storage capacity or durability. The smartest travelers are now choosing bags that look obviously compact and well organized. Sometimes paying a little more for a bag that's clearly designed to avoid airline hassles is worth every penny compared to the stress and fees of forced checking. Remember, the goal isn't to pack as much as possible into your carry-on. The goal is to get your bag onto the plane without drama.